How we doing, folks? So last year at this time, I was starting the Appalachian Trail. It's February 15th. So that's pretty cool, but I want to give a quick shout out to all those early birds and all the that are starting right now, and all the AT Thru-Hikers of 2016. Get out there and have some fun. So yeah, I just got off the Cohos Trail. I did a little winter thru-hike myself with my 3 friends that I met in the 100-mile wilderness. They were starting Sobo, and they ended up finishing, and we got in touch, and we've been hiking since. So we got on the Cohos Trail, and for those of you that are unaware of what that is, it starts in Crawford Notch in New Hampshire and heads its way up to Pittsburgh, New Hampshire at the Canadian border. And it's 175 miles, and it goes through the most remote places in all of New Hampshire. And it's really hard to get food drops, and it's sweet. They advertise it to see more moose than people when you're on it, but we only saw 2, and it was really quick because we're so loud crunching that snow down with our snowshoes. But yeah, it was a good time, and I wanted to do a quick gear review on everything I carried, and I rate everything I have down to -20 because we went up on Moosilauke one night, and we know for a fact it got down to -20 before this trip. So I felt pretty confident carrying all of this when I started, and it's also, you know, pretty well for extreme conditions and wind chill, because we went up Washington, didn't make it all the way up because it was sketchy, turned around, and when we were going over Monroe all the way to Eisenhower and everything, it was hairy and the wind was blowing us down, and you know, for lack of better words, it was pretty wicked crazy. But yeah, I'll show you what I brought in my bag and everything. That's it right there, and we'll kind of just dive right in. I'll start with the shoes. Well, first of all, darn tough socks again, the way to go. So that's one pair of socks, and then I had these Vask Arrowhead Ultra Dry boots, and I'll try and do another gear review on these because, you know, I want to talk about them a bit. But real quick, I just want to let you know to never buy these if you're winter hiking, especially through hiking, because for a couple of reasons. One of them is they're not waterproof. I found that out like the second day into the hike, and my feet were frozen for the remainder of the hike, and they didn't warm up until half the day went by. And then when I got to camp, I got out of them, quickly threw my warm socks on, and the next morning my feet were frozen again. So not waterproof, even though they advertise them to be waterproof. Not warm because they're not waterproof. That's how that works. And then the lacing, they come with something they call a quick lace, and they only give you this much. And you know, at night you really need to stretch your boots out because they will freeze if you don't put them in your sleeping bag. So you're not really, you know, you can't really stretch them out as much as I'd like to, so I can just slip my foot in the next day. That's one minor thing, but you know, I did have to like stomp my foot in the morning, so another negative. So they came with this cool zipper, which acts as like basically a foot gaiter, and it looks really cool and seems like it would work really well, but when you're dealing with negative temperatures day in and day out, the zipper doesn't actually zip because it's so cold. So that's just one, I mean, great idea, doesn't really work. And lastly, the threading. You know, I've only done around 300 miles in these already, and the threading's already coming undone. Or no, around 200 miles in these, sorry. And the threading's already coming undone, so not really a big fan, but I'll try and do a gear review talking about that later. So now we'll dive right into the clothes that I wore all day. The first layer was one pair of long johns. The next layer would be my waterproof hiking pants. They're Eastern Mountain Sports. I don't know what they're called, System 3. But yeah, you can look them up. They're awesome pants. I love them. They got some vents right here if it gets too hot. And they're just extremely comfortable. They got built-in gaiters in the bottom, and they're warm. So these pants definitely do the trick. Next, I have my knee-high gaiters. They're Mountain Laurel gaiters, and I really do like these gaiters, and I plan on getting another pair actually, but only for when I'm not snowshoeing, because if you're planning on snowshoeing in gaiters, don't get the Mountain Laurel ones. They're extremely lightweight, like the lightest on the market right now, but because they're so lightweight, they're not really, you know, ready to get through hiked in when you're snowshoeing, and they get huge holes. Like I got this hole, and then I got another one right here that I duct taped, another one right there, and then on my other one, you know, we got one right here. So they're not rugged, but they're waterproof and they are nice, and I would get them if I wasn't snowshoeing, because when you're snowshoeing going through the brush, you're nicking your ankles, and you know, they're just not meant for that really. So a lot of times I'd carry these wool mittens in the pockets of my pants, and then I'd have my quarter zip top layer, real thin, and then I have my outdoor research. I don't know what the hell you call this thing, the name for it, but it's really nice. It zips all the way up to the bottom of your nose for when you're above tree line or if it's just wicked cold. But really nice layer. I found myself wearing this a lot over my other quarter zip. And then I had my rain jacket. Again, outdoor research. Couldn't tell you the name of this, but it's awesome. I wore it for the end of my Appalachian Trail thru-hike. And you know, this is the first winter thru-hike I didn't really bring a heavy outer layer. I wanted to really test this out, and you know, this really lightweight rain jacket did the trick for wind chill, rain that we did get, snow that we did get, and those crazy winds that, you know, brought us down to our butt on, you know, Washington and Monroe. So that's that. And then I had these liner gloves, Eastern Mountain Sports. They're kind of a thicker liner glove, but I wore these beneath my wool ones. And then I had this, you know, ear warmer. I wore this every single day, and then this hat as well. I love this thing. I've had it forever. That's all the clothes that I wore pretty much during the day, and if it ever got colder and I wanted more layers, I had those right in my bag, easy access to get them to. So we'll dive right into my bag now. This is a Osprey Exos 48 liter, and I love it to death. I've you know, had it on the LT, AT, IAT, SRK, and now CT, and it's holding up. I haven't had to fix anything on it, and I love it to death. I'd say it's about a 45 liter without the brain, which I've never carried, and it fits everything I need. So firstly, we'll dive right into what I carried on the hip pockets. I had my Mountain Laurel rain mitts. Highly, highly recommend these. These are, I wish I had these at the beginning of the Appalachian Trail, and they're just awesome. You can wear them without anything, and they'll keep your hands dry, and they'll keep them warm somewhat, but then you put my other layers on and you're good to go. So that's always right there. In my other hip pocket, I had my Tika Petzl headlamp that I could always recharge. I love this headlamp. Again, I've had it for multiple thru-hikes. And then I carried, you know, stuff like Tylenol or ibuprofen and my extra camera battery in here, ready to go at all times. Next, we'll dive into the side pockets. I have my goggles right here. I only wore these when we were going over, you know, near Washington, near Monroe. And were awesome. They definitely protected my eyes when they needed to be protected with those harsh winds. It was sleeting on us, and like I said before, it was a life or death situation for real. Like, we all needed to get off that mountain, and these did the trick. I also carried my ground cloth from my tent on the bottom of my bag, but I carried this in there because when I did get to camp at night, wherever we were, I could quickly throw this on the snow and then throw all my other stuff on there and change, not stepping in the snow. So I kept that really handy right there. On the sternum strap, I have my water bottle koozie and insulator. It's a 40 below, which I'll get into on the other ones that I have. I have a little Nalgene in there, and I really like carrying this on my sternum strap this size because it was the perfect amount to, you know, drink during the day, and whenever I did run out of here, I just took it out of my side water bottle and filled this back up, so it was, you know, quick access. But that did the trick there. Always carried my trail snacks and lunch in these two pockets, and then I have my Spot Generation 3, which is essential. I'll never ever go without it again. Even on day hikes I'll carry it because I've seen people really get hurt, and I wish I had had this on the trail so I could help them. It's not only for me, it's for other people. Along with the AT brothers, their parents, and my parents, they were able to track us and make sure that we're safe on this winter Thru-Hike. Right here with the back vent, I carried my map for the Cohos Trail, along with my ID, my debit card, and a little bit of cash. And now for this side pocket, I carried the my other water bottle. Again, it's in a 40 below koozie and insulator. I've tried a lot of insulators over the year, and they pretty much all act the same as for, you know, not letting your water freeze to a certain extent. But I really like the 40 below because easy access, no zipper involved, so you can have your mitts on and really, you know, get in there really quick. And the water bottle I have in here isn't a Nalgene. It's called a Hunter's Dwarf water bottle, which you can get on 40below.com. And I'm not really sure if I like these or not. You know, what I do like about them is they got these big grips on the sides, so again, you can be wearing your gloves and no problem get it undone, unlike the Nalgenes. But I also like that they are soft shelled, so when your water does freeze up to some extent, you can squeeze it and de-ice it and you know, get that ice out of there, which you can't really do with the Nalgene. What I don't like about them is you can't put hot water in them, so you can't, you know, boil your water out there and then pour it in here to put in your bag to, you know, act as a heater for, you know, your body at night. But I think personally I like Nalgenes better, even though they are a little heavier, they are a little harder to get into. But when it comes to winter hiking, you need that warm water for so many things, and you can pour it right into a Nalgene. So I think I'm going to switch back to Nalgenes, but keep the 40 below koozie. The bottom of my bag, I have my tent. I only, you know, used it a couple times. I was sleeping with the other AT boys in their big tent a few times, but then I had my parents drop this off because it was a little too tight in there. So I did use that a few times, but I love that tent. It's an LL Bean Microlight something. On the other side of my bag, I have, you know, my snowshoes, which, you know, pretty much I'd say off the top of my head, 75% of the trail we were in snowshoes. Other, you know, we were on roads for a little bit, which didn't require them, and then above tree line didn't require them because the snow is so packed down and icy. But carry these bad Larrys, and they definitely did the trick. They're the MSR Lightning Ascents, which are supposedly the best snowshoes on the market right now. And they really did the trick. I loved them, but one of the crampons broke on my hike, and I'm going to try and contact them and see if they can help me out. But I love how they have the grippage on the side of the shoe itself, along with these hill climbers you can flip up and easily put down when you're climbing hills. And I will say the threading on the sides is coming loose only after 200 something miles of use. So kind of not satisfied, but at the same time I love the snowshoe. I might do another gear review on those later. Carried a pee bottle. I know it sounds disgusting to some folks out there, but at night when it is negative temperatures, extremely cold, you do not want to get out of your bag, and being able to just go right in here allowed me to stay warm, and that's as far as I'll get into it. I have my micro spikes. Definitely get a pair of these. Never get yak tracks. They suck. My toiletry bag has my toiletry, my hand sanitizer in there. And that's it for the outside of my bag. For the inside of my bag, I lined it with a contractor bag just to make sure no water was getting in there. Another water bottle with 40 below koozie, 100 Stork water bottle. Carried that on the inside of my pack because all these things act as another insulator, which kept this water from freezing before the other water. So that was nice. Carried my food bag. We only did 2 to 3 days of food at a time. But real quick, I want to show you what I was doing for my stove set. I found it pretty interesting. I don't know if you guys will too, but I had my pocket rocket stove, which I carried on the AT, and then my little charger to charge my camera, which is Brandy's using right now, and to charge my cell phone as well. So in my pot, I have a GSI solo pot, and I have this little orange bowl that comes with it. And in here I carried my toothpaste and toothbrush, my spork, and my lighter. Just an extra trick, when you get to camp, put this in your glove close to your palm so it gets warm, so you can light that stove up when the time comes. My little fuel canister, copper wire, and koozie. What I did was I put this orange bowl inside the koozie, the insulator, my canister inside here, my pocket rocket on top of here, and then, actually I'll get my pocket rocket out for this. So I had my pocket rocket on top of here, and then I filled it with water, which is at 32 degrees. It's not freezing, so it kept my my canister pretty warm. But then I put this copper wire, which I bent, on top of my stove, and the flame from this transferred down the wire into the water, which allowed it to heat the canister itself. So for anyone that makes a better thing than this out there and decides to patent it, remember, it was my idea. And I kind of got the idea from Gringo. I will give him that, but I tweaked it a whole lot. So that's enough about that. Then I have my bomber hat, outdoor research. What's cool about this is that right here in this ear flap, you can tuck this in and pull it out. It goes right over your nose. Wore that up on the Washington, or at least halfway up Washington until we turned around because it was sketchy. I have my foot warmers or boots, whatever you want to call them, that I wore at night, which kept my feet warm. I have my Neo Air Thermarest sleeping pad. I didn't carry this on the AT, but for this winter Thru-Hike I needed more warmth, so I carried this along with my closed cell memory pad, half pad, and both of them combining the R value was around 5, I think, so it definitely did the trick and it kept me warm. And then for when it was a little colder on the trail, I did have other layers to put on, or if I did get to camp right when I got there, I threw these layers on as well if I didn't wear them on the trail. I have a quarter zip EMS little fleece. I have my OR vest, really light but keeps the core warm. Then I have my another top layer to keep me warm. Some more long johns to keep me warm. Another pair of long johns to keep me warm, which have some fleece lining on the inside. They're a little thicker. And then I got another pair of darn toughs that are always dry, that I'm never wearing when I'm hiking. And then a thicker pair of smart wool socks. So both of those inside my boots right here kept my feet warm. And then I had my sleeping bag. Don't ask questions about my sleeping bag because I know nothing about my sleeping bag. It doesn't have the name of it, the degree on it, or anything. All I know is that it keeps me warm, really, really warm. But everything's like scratched off. The thing's so old. Someone handed it down to me years ago, and I've used it ever since for my winter hikes. But along with that, in this stuff sack, I also had my North Face down jacket, which kept me incredibly warm, and I loved it to death. That's what I wore at camp. And then again, I had my closed cell memory pad, half pad. All of this was weighing, for those that are interested, was weighing 25 pounds, and that's without my tent. And with my tent, it was weighing 27.5 pounds, and that's without food or water. But did I forget anything? I don't think so.
You didn't say where your poles were.
Oh, my poles are MSR poles. These ones definitely get the trick done. They're called the Flight 2 winter poles. And right out of the basket, right out of the box, that's the word I'm looking for. I had to tape up the middle part because they shook and it rattled and it was annoying. So tape that up, but it did the trick. But yeah, that's everything that I carried for the Cohos Trail. Like I said, it was incredibly cold and it was a great time. And you know, another thing that was really cool about it is that the founder of the trail got in contact with us, and he told us we were the first ones to ever winter thru-hike this trail. So we didn't know that when we started, but definitely, you know, a cool thing to know. We'll always be the first to hike this trail. But as for now, I hope those 2016 AT Thru-Hikers, PT, CDT, whatever trail you're hiking, have a good time, stay wild, and get it done. See you later, bye!